Hey, just wanted to give you guys an update in case you were interested. It's been 4 weeks since my video that I made, and thank you for your kind comments and support. Tomorrow I explant. Tomorrow is September 1st, and I'm having explant surgery, and I chose my surgeon, Dr. Randy Rudderman out of Atlanta, because he is on the list, and mostly excited. I know this is the right decision, and I feel good about that. It's been still a lot of roller coaster of emotions, but I'm in a really good place. Had some really great conversations with my kids, which has been one of the biggest blessings out of this whole ordeal, is having these honest conversations with my kids who are old enough, 10, 12, and 14, to know what's going on. We learn all the things in middle school anyway, right? So they're getting a crash course on life. We have family meetings every Sunday night. And so we had a family meeting, and I told them, this is going to be the weirdest family meeting y'all have ever heard, but you got to hear it and you'll never forget it. So I shared with them when I had my breast augmentation, age-appropriate information. They knew I was having a surgery. Of course, they asked lots of questions because they saw me before and after. We're not real modest around here. And I explained to them that I was having surgery because I breastfed all of them, and they changed, and I would like them back how they were. And that was the simple version for 3 years ago. Of course, they're better than they were, but that's how I explained it to them. And I had a little bit of hesitation, that was with my girls especially, in having breast augmentation to begin with. How am I presenting that story to them? And but I decided to go ahead and have the surgery. So this time around, when we sat down and had our new weird family meeting, I explained to them that I knew what was going on with me, because all of my kids have witnessed over the past few months my health issues. They've all been at their levels of concern. They've been concerned for me and know that I've been going to doctors and having all this tests done and stuff. So I sat him down with Keenan and we explained what was going on. I told him, I said, remember my boob surgery 3 years ago? Yes. Have y'all heard of breast implants? Yes, of course they have. They're not stupid and they're not little anymore. And so I told them that, well, I've learned a lot about breast implants and what they are and what they're made of. And it turns out that that's what's been making me sick, and that's what's been causing all these problems. So I'm going to have another surgery and going to get them out. So that was like the brief version for them. It's funny how different they reacted, because my youngest she is like, we are tied emotionally, and she's like, oh, Mommy, I'm so sorry, but I'm excited for you. Are you feeling okay? Like, she's just my feeler. And my middle daughter, she's like my husband. She's just, give me the facts. She's not real emotional. And in fact, she didn't say anything during the meeting. And so the next day, taking her to school, I said, you want to talk about anything about what we talked about? I don't want it to be weird. And she said, if we talk about it, it'll be weird. So that was her response. So not much from her. My son, who is 14, listened, of course, and he had a very valid point. He said, Mom, what if you get your poisonous boobs out and that wasn't it? And then you're like, and I thought, that's a great question. So my response to him was, I believe this is the problem. This is the root cause of all of my issues. However, if I get them out and that doesn't solve the problem, if that's not it, at least I know it will never be it. Because I have turned a huge corner in this whole process. And for my mental health and my physical health and well-being, I know the best step is to get these out. I don't want to think for a half a second that I have caused a problem or a potential problem is sitting here on my chest, I know that I need that out of my mind, because I will become a hypochondriac. And if anything happens and I start to get unwell, I'll think my boobs are imploding. And so I know that I just want them out. But I thought that was very funny for my 14-year-old son to say that, because that's a valid point. It turns out that this whole journey for me is way more than physical. I have already detached myself emotionally from these things, and it didn't take as long as I thought it would. I had all the month of August was like my breakup month with these, and it didn't take long at all, because by August 3rd, I was like, y'all need to go. It's not me, it's you. And I'm ready for them to detach physically, because emotionally, I'm done. I don't want them. I don't want that image. I want my new old body back, or my old new body back. And I'm looking forward to that next chapter, because this is deeper than just physical to me. There have been moments where I've gotten out of the shower and looked at myself in the mirror and thought, dang, y'all are real cute, but you gotta go. I know that in this column, I have pretty boobs, and in this column, I have so much more to look forward to. My physical health, my mental health, my relationships, my family, my professional clarity of being able to write again, a deeper self-love and appreciation for my body that there was nothing wrong with, and nothing wrong with the decision I made. I made it with the knowledge that I had, but now I feel like I know too much. And so when you know better, you do better. And I'm looking forward to this next journey, knowing that God's got me. He has always gotten me through every situation and every tribulation and trial that I've gone through. God has been faithful. And so this has been interesting, but I know it's happened for me and not to me. I have had moments of mourning, like, man, I can't believe I actually have to do this. But when I step back and think of the big picture, I know it's the right step, and I know that you can't understand what's to come until you give up what you have. And so I know that the stripping away of this self-image that I thought I wanted, that I no longer want, is a part of me becoming who I've always been inside. And it does not include these implants. So even though part of me is a little scared and sad about looking at myself for the first time in the mirror and all of that, I'm hoping and I believe that one of two things will happen: that I either am pleasantly surprised and I think, oh my gosh, look at y'all, there you are, there you've been, and I just am happy with how I look. And the other thing I hope for is that I just have such a deeper appreciation and self-love for what they've been through and what I put myself through and what I've learned on this whole journey, that I'm a newer, brighter version of me because of what I've been through. And that's what he's done with my other stories. And I know he's been faithful, so he will bring me through this like he always has. Keenan's been great through this whole thing. He has said everything to me that I needed to hear from my husband, and everything to me that I needed to hear from my Heavenly Father. And I did not think our marriage could get more beautiful and wonderful and intimate, but I see that now, that that's exactly what's happening. Of course, it's been a little bit awkward because they're here and they're in the way, and they're in the way in my head anyway. I don't want them. So it's a little awkward. Like, what do I do with these? And I'm like, well, they're here. They're attached to me, and I'm pretty sure I get to keep my nipples. So we've worked it out, but I'm ready for that to be not a thing in my brain anymore. I had a moment when I went to both my consults before I picked Dr. Rudderman. I went to both my consults, and they said that both of them said I did not need a lift, which I was super disappointed about because I had already wrapped my head around getting them out. That's the first goal. But my second concern was, how are they going to look after? And neither of them suggested that I needed a lift, and I was bummed about that. I just don't have a lot of tissue, and they're not pointing down or sagging down. There's nothing to point down. They're straight ahead. They're just a little deflated. So I was a little disappointed that I would be going back to how I was, which is the reason I got them, and maybe worse because of the stretching. I don't know. They say they change and shift and fluff for months to come, and so we'll see. Regardless, I know it's what I'm going through. But I did have a moment where I was sad that day after I saw both of them, because I'm like, I'm going right back to where I was. And Keenan's like, I'm 1,000% okay with that. If you go right back to how you were, the woman I fell in love with in the beginning. So he's been super supportive. It's me that's like, I don't know if I'm okay with that. And I feel bad now because I realize I was kind of putting him in a sticky situation, because I have these, like, before and after pictures, and I'm like, you mean to tell me that that's not better than that? Like, which one? This or that? This or that? This looks better than that, clearly. And he said, to you. And I'm like, what? And he says, I've always preferred natural. I prefer natural. I said, so you don't like these? I'm like getting them to confess, to pick a side, right? This dualistic answer, either or. And things aren't either or. I've learned, thank you, Richard Rohr and Vicky, there's always a third answer. And so he said, Bonnie, you had a good result. They look great. We've enjoyed them. And I prefer natural, and I always have. It doesn't get more honest than that. And I get it. I see. I agree. And so even though I have this small part of me that's like, dang it, they're cute and I want them, I want all of this more. The physical health, the mental health, the spiritual journey, the deeper everything. I want all of that more than I want these cute boobs. More than I want these. So that's the journey I'm on. I did look into briefly fat transfer, which is a thing. And, basically the bottom line for me is I'm not sold on it, and I don't want to sign up for anything else because I've already been through this. And so I don't want to do any more procedures. I just want to get them out, and hopefully I'm happy with the result, or at least a different person, and see it in a new light. So that's where I've, landed with that. I will say I have seen way more boobs at this point than I ever wanted to in my whole life, between my augmentation and now this reconstruction. But I've seen some gorgeous lifts. If any of you, and I'm not encouraging any procedure, please hear me say that, but if you have anything and gravity has not been kind, then look into that, a lift without implants, before you do anything like this. I mean, it's way safer. But anyway, I'm not suggesting that you do that. I'm just telling you I've seen it. But I'm not a candidate because I don't have the tissue. I don't have the tissue for that. A couple of things that have shocked me on this journey. One, I feel like that was a lie that was sold to me. maybe I concocted it, but I thought that getting breast implants would make me think of my body less. Like, okay, I checked that boob problem, we got those now. And so, but really what happened was I didn't think of my body less. I thought about it more, and not in a good way, just an awareness of, how do they look and this outfit and all of that. And it was too much mental energy for me. I remember just a few weeks after I got them, looking in the mirror, and a thought came into my head that said, don't get attached to them. And when I have thoughts like that, I don't know where they come from. I don't know if it's God, the devil, or me talking. I get those three voices confused, working on that. But I thought, well, that's weird. Hopefully it's not literal, whoever that voice is. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't get emotionally attached to them. That makes sense. Okay, I won't, But it's interesting now that I'm going through this process that I'm having to detach myself emotionally from them. And honestly, it's been a little easier than I thought, because I have been present in the moments. I have been fully awake to all the feelings and let myself feel all the feelings instead of just pushing them aside. I've walked through the sadness and the anger, and then right back into the sadness and anger, and then the joy. So I have let myself go through the gamut of emotions, but I have detached from them, and now they're just in the way. And the awareness I have of them now is like, y'all aren't welcome anymore. You need to go. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I'm grateful that I feel like I have a normal amount of nervousness, but an overwhelming amount of peace with what's about to happen tomorrow morning.